This was the biggest weekend yet for Valorant esports, and honestly, it gave me incredible hope for the future of this esport. Listen, not everything about it was perfect, but if the action that we saw and the production that was put on to support it is any indication, the future of Valorant esports looks bright. Unless you're a G2 Esports fan. My snow shovel is easily accessible, and you know what that means. It's time for the theScore Esports Awards. We'll be streaming live this Friday at 5 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm gonna be there, so why not come hang out, watch us hand out a bunch of sweet awards. Personally, I'm hoping that the himbo himself, Hassan, can take home some hardware. See you there. So if you were living under a rock this weekend, you might not have heard about Valorant's First Strike Regional Finals, the esports' first major event. In the spotlight was North America, of course, and hundreds of thousands of fans were treated to an absolute gem of a tournament in some admittedly trying times. The production quality was great, the on-air talent was stacked, and of course, the games themselves were exciting. But at the end of it all, it was 100 Thieves that took home the glory.
TSM, there's only 2 players left. There's a 2 versus 4 for TSM. They have to find a way out of this situation, but it's getting worse and worse. And who better than Hiko to look to seal the deal here in this grand finals as Colors tries. He does all that he can, but it's simply not enough against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves, they've done it. They are your First Strike North America champions.
Now, for an event that was played remotely in unusual circumstances and was the first truly massive event of the game's history, I honestly think they did a pretty good job. This event had a lot to like. We're talking about a game that's competing against Counter-Strike, and they're holding the event in the middle of a pandemic, so if you're Riot, this is a big win. Fans seem to agree, as over 300,000 peak concurrent viewers tuned in to watch the NA streams. And yeah, I said streams, because Riot allowed select personalities like Myth and Ninja to restream the games to their own channels, where they did some pretty big numbers. This strategy of allowing streamers to restream competitive matches isn't new for Riot, but it's good to see it continue in Valorant. Especially because Myth's stream gave us one of the best moments of the night as he tried to inspire a TSM squad that was down 0-2.
It is our time to ascend from the depths and give it everything we fucking got!
Other esports communities like Rainbow Six Siege started talking about how letting streamers restream competitive matches could help their own esport. And in Counter-Strike, the game that Valorant most directly competes with, both ESL and DreamHack have so far not allowed community streams. Shroud even said that he would have been streaming First Strike if not for the fact that his WoW Classic guild was trying to kill a 14-year-old raid boss.
Oh,
you can do it, you can do it.
Okay.
I'm boss. It's only Sony.
Let's go.
While we don't know the exact requirements or selection process for Riot's community streams, it's something that I hope continues, especially for other regions like Europe. It helps to bring in new viewers, but also to build a community that actually watches the competitive side of the game. Something that will help it remain popular even as the game's player base continues to expand. But back to the results. In North America, 100 Thieves had to answer a very pressing question. How would their new look roster, completed about 2 months ago, fare against NA's best? Before this change, the roster had struggled, but it sure looks like when you have the experience of Hiko, Nitro, and Steel, and you pair that with young guns like Dicey and Asna, you can beat the rest of NA Valorant. It will be cool to see if this team continues to let Dicey and Asna off the leash a little bit. It definitely worked this weekend, and it was exciting to watch.
Oh, Asuna! He gets the triple off the rocket. It's the fourth kill. He's working on the ace. Asuna, absolutely monstrous performance there on short A, looking for the last player.
What a time to bust out the best showstopper we've seen in months. The triple frag this early into the round grand finals, and the ace for Asuna.
Can you believe it?
Superstar duelist.
And like, not only did Asuna do that, but he did it in what's probably the most important match of his life. Cold, dude. I can't wait to learn more about this killer. And listen, if you're a TSM fan, even though they lost in grand finals, they were still able to prove themselves against both Renegades and Team Envy. Honestly, the most disappointing part of the tournament might just be that TSM and Sentinels weren't able to sort that whole thing out. Sentinels played a very good match against FaZe Clan, but they lost a close set against 100 Thieves where Sinatra just wasn't able to make the difference. But NA isn't the only region in Valorant, and if you thought it was, that's okay. Most of the hype was pointed at it, and I forgive you this time. In Europe, we saw the incredibly hyped G2 Esports roster fail to make grand finals, where Team Heretics triumphed over SUMN FC. Heretics captain Lowell, who has plenty of Counter-Strike experience, was named MVP.
In combination! Oh, Niso turns it around, it's all on Mystic! A 1v3, it falls to pieces! Heretics, the Titan Slayers, took down Liquid, took down G2, and now they take the crown! Heretics are your Valorant First Strike European champion!
Heretics destroyed both Liquid and G2 Esports on the way to their grand finals win. That's great for Team Heretics, but if you're a G2 Esports fan, it's probably a bit of a disappointment to see them go out like that. The viewership for Europe was just over a third of NA's peak, which is another potential future issue. Counter-Strike is king in Europe, at least for now, and it will be interesting to see if that changes anytime soon. So I guess my point is this. Right now, in North America and Europe, the best teams have a substantial background in Counter-Strike. Maybe that's not surprising given the similarities between the two games, but something to keep in mind for the future. But more than just NA and Europe, Riot held First Strike regional tournaments this past weekend for the CIS region, Turkey, Japan, Korea, Oceania, Asia Pacific, and Brazil. Some of them, like Korea, Brazil, and Japan, were even held offline. And that brings me to my last point. Where exactly do we go from here? Because the hunger for international competition is only going to grow from this point. But if things continue as they have, and even if we see widespread vaccinations soon, it seems like it's going to be a little while before fans get the faded EU-NA matchup that they're desperately hoping for. Not to mention other exciting regions that fans want to see, like Brazil, the CIS region, or Korea. Plus, I think Valorant will want to avoid some of the mistakes I personally saw from Overwatch's early years, which was a lot of initial hype that eventually sort of became squashed by a league announcement that was so far in the future that it made current competition seem less exciting. Listen, not everybody loves Valorant. Our own Dimitri Pascaluta shared his opinion on the game in a recent video.
Look, everything about Riot's announcement seems great. As long as third-party tournaments are permitted to run on the side, and the scene is allowed to grow organically, I have zero issues with their roadmap. The problem is that none of this changes the fact that, in my opinion, and this is just that, my opinion, Valorant continues to just not be a very good game.
But if you're a fan of Valorant, the good news is that, at least in my opinion, this was an excellent starting point. A true first strike for the scene. Listen, my snow shovel is easily accessible, so you know what that means. It's time for the theScore Esports Awards. We'll be streaming live this Friday at 5 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm gonna be there, so why not show up and ask me about my cat? The walls are closing in, and the other night my Winston pillow talked to me, and it told me about a biblical prophecy involving flexing on people with yachts, and Things are bleak here. Definitely send some help. Definitely send some help. Why? Why? He's ripped, bud. Look at this. He's shredded like a cheese grater.